Welcome, future house sitters. I'm Tina, and today I'm bringing you the inside house sitting scoop from two trusted house sitters hosts who make house sitting possible and whom I've actually sat for. If you've been wondering what house sit hosts really look for, what makes a profile stand out, or how to build trust that leads to repeat invites, you're in the right place. This is house sitting from a host perspective. Let's dive in. So, welcome everyone. Today, I have some amazing guests whom I actually house sat through Trusted House Sitters for. This is Rhonda and John. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. Would
You're
you like
welcome.
to please tell us about yourselves, anything you want to share, and also your two amazing pets that I sat for you?
Right. We're just an old married couple living in Nebraska, and we had you out to house sit for us. Gosh, it's probably been a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. You took care of our two pets. We have a Weimaraner dog who is now a very old man. He's 12 and a half. And then a little mix rescue that we got. She's 8, and they're both doing great. And we've had several house sitters since you've been here. So it's been a really good experience.
I'm very glad to hear it. We'll get right into the Q&A. First, what inspired you to open your home to house sitters?
Well, we took a class that basically introduced us to Trusted House Sitters. Because when we first heard about it, we were like everybody else. It just can't be real. Who's going to do that? And I had retired from the fire department here in Lincoln. And I thought the idea of us traveling at some point after Rhonda retired to do that kind of thing, it'd be great to travel. You could travel all over the world doing that. So after taking the class, I got on Trusted House Sitters as a house sitter. And even though Rhonda was still working and we had two pets at home, I did a couple of house sits just by myself. The first one was in Denver. And the reason I did that one was because I had a daughter that was living about an hour south of Denver. And I thought I could do a house sit for a long weekend and then go down and visit my daughter, which I did. And then the second house sit that I did was at a lake house just east of Kansas City. So both of these were within a day's drive of our place. And they both went really well. But during the second house sit, when Rhonda was home with our two pets, we had a little old Chihuahua at the time, and the Chihuahua got sick and died while I was gone, which is like the worst thing that can happen. Well, maybe not the worst, but a bad thing. So that was the last house sit that I did at that point, just because I didn't want to be gone for that anymore. But it was at that point that we decided to try using it for our benefit, having someone come to stay at our place. And our very first house sit was, I forget where we went, but we were going to be gone for a week. And I can still remember when we put the ad out for our house sit and we got a response. I was like, my God, this is actually going to work. And it was a young lady from New York City. And her plan was to get on a bus and ride the bus to Lincoln, Nebraska and spend a week at our house. And I thought, I wouldn't get on a bus and go cross country for any reason. But she did, and it worked out great. It was until it actually happened, I think there was still a sense of disbelief that this could be real. But she came and she did a great job while we were gone. And I took her to the bus stop when we got back and put her on another bus. And I think from Lincoln, I think she was going to Seattle for another house sit.
Wow.
And she, I don't know if she'd done very many at that point, but it was still kind of a new thing. But after that very first one, it was like, this is the best thing ever. We've got to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So whenever we've traveled, we've tried to get a trusted house sitter, and we've had luck every time. Prior to using Trusted House Sitters, we had a great local sitter that we paid, and she was a college girl, and she was the best ever. But she graduated from college and she quit house sitting.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have her anymore. And we've yet to find a local house sitter that measures up to our very first one. But all the Trusted House Sitters that we've used have been just fantastic.
I love that. And I did not realize that you had been a house sitter prior to
Yeah,
going on and having your own sitters. But it is, I have to second what you said about it being unbelievable until it finally happens. Because it's the
yeah.
same from the sitter's perspective. Like, am I really going to somebody's house and they're going to let me in and I'm going to stay there and they're going to leave? And so, yeah, it's that feeling of disbelief on both sides in such a great way, though. Okay, and so when you choose a house sitter and you're looking over the profiles, what stands out to you guys as someone having a good profile?
Well, John can speak for himself, but for me, of course, I always like to see a lot of reviews, or at least a few. Um, Not that that's a deal breaker, but I think the reviews are important, and that's one of the keys to trusted house sitters. I think is you do get to get these reviews, and so you kind of know what to expect. Um, Now that probably doesn't bode well for newcomers
Yeah.
because we've had I know we've had at least one house sitter that was brand new, and she didn't really have, I don't remember who it was right offhand, and she did great. But for me, it's the reviews. I don't know what you look for.
I just want to keep you happy. So, uh,
I know that's right.
and it's like whenever we've had an application for a house sit, it's never like they're fighting over our house sit. It's just whenever an application comes in, we get a hold of that person, and they've all been. I mean, there's been nothing from any of them that would say, "Oh, we don't want to use this person," from the information that we've got. So we get a hold of them and we talk to them, hopefully face to face, but at least through email and texting, and you get a feel for who they are. So I don't think we've had. I personally have just been very open to just about everything that's gone on with this because we've had no bad experiences.
That is so wonderful. And to counter that, have you ever gotten an application that even one or something about somebody's application made you feel like, I don't know, even though it turned out well during the interview process?
Well, we had one recently actually for this upcoming trip in December. There was a woman that applied, and she lived right here in Nebraska. She was local, which is not unusual because sometimes when you're trying to get started, you'll do some local sits to kind of build up your resumes on the on the website. So it wasn't too surprising. But then she kind of ghosted us after we had accepted her. We've never really had that before. And I don't know what the deal was, but that's probably the first time I ever run into it. But she was new, and I think maybe she just wasn't quite sure, you know, wasn't quite sure what she was doing, maybe, or maybe she just changed her mind. But that's the only time that I've ever felt like there was a red flag, and it was only because she applied and then ghosted us. But
So
I don't know.
communication is very key.
Yes.
And it's one of the things that I highlight. Know that you want to do this before you start applying, because it is, maybe induces some anxiety for some people. Not me, it's very exciting, but for some people, it's difficult to imagine doing it. So that's something that I emphasize. Don't, because you guys have flights or whatever type of plans, even if you aren't going to fly. And it's very disruptive when you think one thing is taken care of and then you have to start over. So I'm sorry that happened.
Well, and if you get online and you read some, there's a lot of stuff out on the internet about trusted house sitters, pro and con. And I know there's been cases where like a trusted house sitter maybe backed out at the last minute or something like that. We've never had that, but I suppose, that could happen.
Yeah, it happens. And if it's an emergency, what can you do? But
right, exactly.
If it's just, wasn't sure, that's totally different. And then what is the most outstanding quality for you guys when you do interviews? You alluded to just having good rapport with all of the people who actually applied and got to that process. But if you could name one quality or interaction that made it really go well, what would that be?
Wow.
Is that a brain teaser for you guys?
It's kind of hard to single one thing out, but when you talk to someone, it doesn't take long to figure out whether you are going to mesh or things are going to work out. And it seems like we don't go in looking for one particular thing, but with the communication that we've had with these house sitters in the past, it's always like, I think this is going to be great. After the very first communication, it's like, I think these people are going to do a good job, and I'm going to be thrilled to have them. And it's always exciting to have, for me at least, to meet somebody new that is motivated to be doing this. I love meeting these people. It's been so much fun and it's so interesting. We've met so many interesting.
Oh yeah, great. I mean, just cool people, you know, from all over. Yeah.
It is.
So
it is.
I don't think I really answered your question, but
no, you did.
you did
because it speaks to like having a good rapport and showing up authentically. And just seeing how everything works out. And you guys make it so easy with the instance when I interviewed with you guys. And John, you were mentioning how you like to possibly meet face to face before the sit. And coincidentally, I was coming up to Nebraska. So we got a chance to meet before the sit. And you all were so wonderful to make dinner for me. The delicious salmon, I won't forget. And just make me feel so at home. So I appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad.
Because it takes both sides to make the comfort happen.
You know, and I'm glad you said that because it was going to segue into what I was going to say next, which is the vetting really goes both ways, you know, because they can look at your profile on Trusted House Sitters and see whose house sat for you and what kind of reviews they've left. And I think that is really important that it can go both ways.
It's true.
I think some of that vetting has basically been done before you ever meet face to face or talk the first time. So you go in with a certain expectation that it's going to be good, and it always has been.
Yeah, that's why I just said, Rhonda, those reviews are key because you get to have it is a different level of, I don't want to say anxiety, but wonder when you meet somebody with no reviews.
Well, and you know, we get a lot of our friends, we have friends that are like, what? You let strangers stay in your, I mean, they're just like appalled, you know, and
then we've got other friends that are like, I've got to try this, and are now on Trusted House Sitters like us. But yeah, there's still a lot of people out there that just don't think there's any way that could work for them anyway.
I know. I meet them all the time. So that's why I wanted to have you guys on. All right. And then how has having trustworthy sitters impacted your ability to travel freely, relax, and not worry? Do you feel like without great sitters from the platform, you might not be as free to plan trips and go and know that everything's going to be okay?
Well, I don't know. What do you think?
Go ahead.
Well, I think that you have to, there's a certain level of trust involved, you know, and we've had great house sitters. They've always kept in really good communication with us when we're gone. We're clear about, you know, we want pictures every day. You know, we kind of let them know what we want. And I can honestly say that we've never been on a vacation with had a trusted house sitter that we haven't had full confidence in them because they've just been great. I mean, I don't worry about it when I'm gone.
And as soon as we start thinking about a trip, as soon as we get a firm date for that trip, I get on the website and start putting it out there for an application. And then I'm anxious, you know, is somebody actually going to apply for this one? And so far, so good. We've always had a response, but yeah.
That's great. And so with you guys, especially, that's something that is a great encouragement for both other hosts and sitters, but most especially hosts with you all living in Nebraska, because some people think that nobody's going to be interested in their area, but somebody is interested everywhere.
Exactly.
Just because Lincoln is ordinary to you, especially with you guys being in such a big college town community, somebody is always willing to go every, you know, 99% of places somebody wants to explore.
That is so true. And, you know, it's fun because it seems like every trusted house sitter we've had has a different reason for sitting for us. And it's been all over the board. I mean, maybe they have a relative in town. One woman was in town for a work meeting. There was a couple that were traveling across the U.S. and doing house sits as they went from California to New York.
The one we've got lined up for December, she's from New Orleans.
Yep.
And she's a university professor.
Wow.
And she's got a colleague that's a professor at the University of Nebraska here in Lincoln. And she's going to come up and sit for us for about 5 days and visit her friends. So that was her reason for wanting to come to Lincoln. But that was the first thing we thought of when we got on this was,
no one's going to want to come here.
Who wants to come to Nebraska for crying out loud?
It's really great. It's really great that everybody gets an opportunity. Yeah. And I'm from Louisiana, so that's why.
Oh, you are?
I am, even though I've lived in Texas for so many years, but I'm born and raised in Louisiana. So that's why I give the the heights of New Orleans. And then finally, is there any one piece of advice that just a blanketed piece of advice that you would give to anybody who's thinking about joining Trusted House Sitters, either as a host or a sitter, but who isn't quite sure?
Well, from the perspective of a host, I would say that even though we've had good luck, I think you always still need to be careful. And so I do things like any jewelry I have, I just make sure it's locked up. It's no offense to the people that are coming here. It's for their protection and my protection. You know what I mean?
It's common sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think you do have to use common sense, and you can't just, trust anybody 100%. That's probably just me because that's who I am. But I think you do have to exercise a certain level of carefulness. I don't know, John, what about you? What advice?
You covered it.
Okay. Yeah. And that's common sense. I mean, truly.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of comfort that I talk about with the review process, because whatever happens, somebody is going to report it, but you still can't just leave yourself wide open to whatever.
Well, another example was I've always worked out of my home, and a lot of the stuff I do at work is very confidential. And so if I know I'm having a house sitter, I'll just make sure, that I've locked my file cabinet or whatever, so you just have to use good common sense.
I love that one. Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to give your perspective as a host. I was just thinking that this perspective is not available widely, and I'm thrilled to have you here and to have you share your experience so candidly. And I will see you guys, or talk to you at least, very soon.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.